Education Minister Dr. SHS has admitted there is serious infrastructure challenge that has plagued the implementation of the free senior high school program. This has led to overcrowding in many schools, leading to the implementation of a double-track system. While some schools have now ended the shift system, other schools continue to implement it. Speaking at an event to tell the free SHS story, the minister said government will not relent in fixing all the problems facing the program, assuring the public the double-track system will be ended in due course.
The free senior high school is nearing a decade of implementation, and according to the Education Minister, Dr. SHS, while infrastructure remains a challenge, government is committed to fixing that and eroding double track in all schools. Dr. SHS says while critics focus on the negatives, he and his team at the Education Ministry are working to make the free senior high school an all-round success.
I hear all the time people talking about the free senior high school, and they don't tell the story of the children who were here. You have to look at something negative and focus on that. They are not focusing on the story of the children. This is a program that has touched many lives.
In his presentation, Dr. SHS highlighted that government has not abandoned basic schools as the NDC claims.
But I know there are some who are watching from home and around the world, and they are saying, what about basic schools? Have you abandoned them? So they will say, yeah, we'll give you credit. You've done well with senior high school. But if you abandon basic schools, children are sitting under trees, and you're talking about drones. To them, I have a response. I look forward to a day when parents will line up in front of our public schools and beg to enroll their children. That is the day. And it will soon come. And it has begun under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let me move. This is your junior high school.
Meanwhile, some beneficiaries of the free senior high school STEM education shared with Joy News the experience of undertaking a holistic science and technology education.
It was such a thrilling experience. We got to see different kinds of people from different countries. We got to see Nigerians, Chinese, Philippines, and other stuff. And we actually cooperated with them very well. And people of Japan also are welcoming and very nice people. And they also let us in on some of their inventions. They made us see how to cure kidney stones and everything. And also we interacted with some of their high school kids who are at the same level with us. And then our interactions with them were actually quite impressive. And for our school, we will be inventing an airplane very soon, because we've seen that it's quite an easy mechanism for some aspects of it. So very soon we'll be implementing an airplane and many more. And for sanitation too, we are also developing, with the help of our team, we are also developing various ideas. So very soon you'll hear from us.
The Education Ministry believes in the new policies it continues to put in place in the implementation of the free senior high school program, which they say will fix its challenges and deliver on quality education outcomes.
Well, I've been joined by Dr. Peter Pate Ante. He is an education economist and executive director of IFES. I'm grateful for your time, Doc. How do you react to the minister's fight back at reports that the free SHS has serious challenges, adding that we must only focus on the positives and not the negatives? Kindly unmute for me, Doc.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, good morning to your viewers. I think I will not fault the minister if he says that we should focus on the positives. Of course, no policymaker would want you to talk about the challenges of his or her policies. And it would be naive on our part to think that he will stand on a podium and then start narrating the challenges that most of us who are on the field and do a lot of research, and you, the journalists, you go to the field and then realize some of those challenges. I think it would be naive on her part to
Right. We'll get Peter Pate Ante back for that conversation. Doc, if you are back, you were making a point about why the minister will never accept that there are negatives.
So, sorry, I had a little interruption.
Right.
So, what I was saying was that it's work. He would definitely want to put light on the positives that he thinks he's achieving. But that is a little bit unfortunate because when you implement these policies, there are challenges that will come with it. And your admission of those challenges enable you to really look at the policy and then fine-tune it to lead to its realization of the objectives of the policy. So if you so much fixated about people reporting on only on the positives, then what you are trying to do is that you will not be able to get the negatives and the challenges that are confronting the policy, and that would not help in the fine-tuning of that particular policy. So I don't understand why anytime the minister or the government gets an opportunity to talk about the free SHS policy, they want to make it look as if there are two groups of people in the country in terms of working on the policy. Those who are for the policy and those who are against the policy. And the very moment you continue to speak like that, then you are politicizing the policy that is very important and that a lot of people have benefited from. I don't think that anybody have said that the free senior high school is a very bad policy. No, I'm here to hear that. Anytime people talk about the policy, they indicate that it's giving opportunity to people to access secondary education. However, there have been challenges, and the challenges of the policy would prevent the realization of the objectives of the policy. Let me give you a typical example. The minister and the president were in Wesley Girls, and the students told the minister and the president that in Wesley Girls, students do not have seats to sit on. They come to classes with plastic chairs. They told them that there is serious congestion in the dormitories. Now, this is Wesley Girls that we are talking about. So imagine a school in any of the rural settings, a secondary school in any of the rural settings, the kind of challenges that they will be going through. So if the minister thinks that the reports from students, from teachers, from parents that do not toe the line of he, the minister, are not supposed to be said, then who is going to do that for the poor child in the school who is having those challenges? I think that is unfortunate, and he should allow everybody to report what they think about the policy so far as they are not reporting false or fake news.
As a refresher, let's understand the serious challenges facing the free SHS, with the most consistent being the quality of food. What has your findings around it revealed?
Yes, I think that we've had serious challenges with feeding. You did a documentary on that, and we have made several calls to the ministry to look at the way they are handling the food distribution in the country. Of course, when you did your documentary, the usual response came from the ministry that these were exaggerated events that have been presented by the platform, and that attitude is why we are not able to solve most of the problems that are facing the free senior high school. There are serious challenges with feeding. Again, one of the things that we are not even talking much about is the infrastructure challenges, because when we started this, we knew that the immediate term it was going to be very difficult for us to expand infrastructure, and that is why we embraced the double track. But whilst the double track was running, we were told that it will run between 5 to 7 years. Now, if you look at the implementation of the free senior high school, it's almost getting to 8 years now, and we are still in that challenge. In fact, students that went to school in just this month, I think they came. We are in April, so they came in late March. Those students are going back home in May. I think first week or second week in May, around 8th May. These are second-year students that are supposed to have a lot of time on campus. But very soon they spend about two or I think 2 months, and they are going back. They went on holidays, I think around in December, stayed in the house, reported in March, and they are going back in May. They are going back to the house in May. These are the challenges that we are talking about. That if you're able to fix this thing, we will be able to keep students in school, go through the academic program, and then we are sure of the quality of education that they are receiving. But we cannot just say that because 1 or 2 schools or students are enjoying some kind of free resources and certain training, all students in the country are benefiting from same. It is highly impossible to make such an assertion. And that is why the minister needs to understand that there are serious challenges with the policy, and his focus should be to address these challenges so that at least by the end of the government's term, at least the 8 years, we would be certain that free senior high school was implemented. There were challenges. We've been able to minimize the challenges, and everybody is benefiting from the policy. I think that should be the attitude of the minister, and not to always think that people have set out to paint the policy black or report negative issues about the policy.
Do you foresee yourself that we will ever have some of these critical issues resolved, especially with the defensive posture of the ministry?
I think one of the best ways we solve problems is to admit it. I think any psychologist will tell you that if you want to deal with a problem, the first step is to admit that there's a problem. And that is one of the challenges that we have had with the posture of the government in respect of this policy. There has not been enough admission of the challenges of the policy. Now, when there is not enough, when the admission is not there, it becomes difficult for you to even tackle the challenges, because you think that people are just doing this for the sake of destroying the policy. So one, there should be, if they admit that there are challenges, then we can move the step further to look at how we are going to address it. We have talked about decentralizing the feeding operations. I think Charles have said this several times about that. We've talked about improving infrastructure, and that there should be a dedicated fund to ensure that within the shortest possible time, we improve infrastructure, not only in the category A schools, but also in some of the schools that are in some districts, like President Kufuor did. So we target some of the schools, and then we uplift the infrastructure to a level that the congestion in the category A schools would reduce, because the very moment that you're able to provide a lot of infrastructure for some schools, parents would automatically want to take their wards to some of these schools that are also doing well. So these are the things that we need to focus on. The minister should focus on solving the challenges of the food, and then also make sure that the operationalization, the infrastructure challenges are also addressed. There are issues with decks and all those things. I think he should make his attention, turn his attention to those things more than the fixation on people talking about the negative aspects of the policy.
Let me have you hold, because the minister says more. Listen.
Hello.
I know there are some who are watching from home and around the world, and they are saying, what about basic schools? Have you abandoned them? So they will say, yeah, we'll give you credit. You've done well with senior high school. But if you abandon basic schools, children are sitting under trees, and you're talking about drones. To them, I have a response. I look forward to a day when parents will line up in front of our public schools and beg to enroll their children. That is the day. And it will soon come. And it has begun under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let me move. This is your junior high school. You see, you don't see brown and yellow. We are rebranding public schools. No brown and yellow, blue and white. Let's move. And we are changing the uniforms too. This is Akufo-Addo and President Kufuor and Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia's Ghana, we have begun the transformation. We began the transformation. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Ghanaians deserve better, and we're going to give them better. Something that we can all be proud of.
Dr. Anti, if you are still there, you've had cause to complain that the ministry has abandoned basic schools because of free SHS. Have things improved? Because the minister says he's doing some things right there.
Thank you very much. You see, basic education, when we say this, there's been less focus on basic education, we are not saying it out of a vacuum. If you look at the data from the Ministry of Education, it clearly indicates that there are serious challenges with our basic education. From teacher to student ratio, that is the number of teachers available, to the provision of desks, to the nature of infrastructure, specifically looking at the buildings that the students are supposed to have that kind of education, to the provision of textbooks, and a whole lot, especially this time that we are doing ICT. Most of the schools do not have ICT labs. They do not have libraries. Now, why do I mention these things? These things are supposed to serve as the inputs for quality education. That is why sometimes when people talk about we are providing quality education, we ask them, what do you think you are doing that is providing quality education? Because there are input variables. If you have students in a school that are being handled by only 2 teachers, then you cannot turn around and tell me that you are providing quality education. Again, in this country, last year or last 2 years, the statistical service indicated that 26% of rural communities do not have access to any form of basic education. So it means that they don't have kindergarten, they don't have primary, they don't have junior high school. 26% of rural communities. And then he said that 6% of urban cluster communities do not have all forms of education, basic education. So some will have basic, will have primary, but will not have junior high school. Some will have kindergarten, but will not have primary and junior high school. Now, anybody who wants to improve education will first look at why is it that we don't have these facilities in these communities and start providing for these communities. You do not go and build another school where there are schools there and then collapse the already primary schools there, you decommission them, and then you move the students to the new building because you think that you want to rebrand basic education, and then project that is a way of ensuring that public basic schools are given the needed kind of attention. I think that is a little bit misplaced and should not be how we handle the challenges in the basic schools. So we are just, according to the minister, we are just building some schools in certain communities. And the communities where we are building the schools already have basic schools. But then in some instances, the basic schools do not have, the buildings are not in good shape, and then they do not have labs, they don't have the ICT things and so on and so forth. So the solution to that problem, according to the minister, is to build another school, decommission all the basic schools in that area, and then move the students to the new building. Whereas you can use the money to build the ICT lab, the library that you want, the science labs, and then link the basic schools in that area to those particular ICT hub that you have created in that district or in that cluster. This is a more efficient way of addressing the problem, and then use the rest of the money to provide basic education for communities that have been earmarked that they do not have any form of basic school. So I think that it is more about the optics. They want us to understand that they are doing something. And in this country, when you start an infrastructure project, that is where people will think that you have really done something within the sector that you are. Other than that, you wouldn't want to go on this tangent and then change the uniform and then take pictures and show it and say that is a way that you are transforming basic schools.
Do we actually need new uniforms at this time?
It is interesting because, we had challenges with new uniform when we introduced the junior high school and the senior high school issues. When President Kufuor changed the name from junior secondary school to junior high school, there were talks about uniforms, and people were not so much enthused with that. I really do not understand the focus and the direction that we are going at the basic level, and I have to be frank, because the data does not suggest that there has been an improvement at the basic level. The data suggests that the basic level have been neglected for so long, and there is the need for the ministry to really be proactive in addressing the challenges at the basic level. Building new schools and decommissioning already existing schools and moving students to that new building will not solve the problem that we are having at a basic level.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Peter Pate Anti is an education economist. He is the executive director of IFES. Let's take a